when I was 20, for example, I was at a very high level of calisthenics, right? You know, when I was 20 years old, I was at a very high level of calisthenics. I was smashing it. I was really doing well. And I became junior world champion at the time as well. I was hitting records after records for myself and some world records in my category as well. And I had this thing in the back of my mind, which was just thinking, well, I'm going to continue improving. I had this idea that I'm going to continue improving and it's only going to go up. Kind of thinking, you know, where am I going to be in 10 years if I'm doing this at 19? And especially, you know, this year and a couple in the recent few years, I've dropped off quite heavily. And I'm not as strong as I was when I was 20. I don't look as good with my physique as well. And even though we like to say these things they don't matter, that, you know, it has an effect on us. It has an effect on me because I care a lot about fitness. Fitness is not just a part-time thing for me. Fitness is something that I've always had a passion for. Training is something I've always loved. So it's like this new challenge where when you're at ground zero, it's very easy to constantly feel so much motivation because the only way is up. You're building initially. The only way is up. You know, if you have a small setback, you haven't truly gone back. You haven't lost anything. You're just continually progressing no matter what you really do. But then when you get to a point where you achieve what you've wanted to achieve for so long, and then you lose it, or you take a few steps back. Maybe it's a case where you take 10 steps.
I can so much relate to it.
Yeah.
I've been through that. So, yeah.
10 steps forward, 8 steps back, that sort of thing, right? All of a sudden. And I think that's a very nuanced situation which isn't really talked about enough, how difficult that can be for the mind. And I've found it very difficult myself, you know, like really and truly. And one of the main reasons was because this year I've dealt with a lot of injury for the first time in my life. And I've never even considered about what it would be like to be injured. And I've dealt with that this year. And I've been injured for pretty much most of the year. And I've just been constantly hindered in everything that I'm trying to do. And it has been really, truly challenging. It's been really, truly challenging for myself. But a different type of challenging. Not the same as when you're building for the first time, right? Because if you feel a plateau initially, you've still covered some ground. And you still have the idea of, yes, I'm going to get to that point. And, you know, I'm going to... You still have that excitement, even if you plateau for a bit, even if progress slows down. You still have that excitement because you're still on an upward trajectory. But if you're at a point where you achieve what you wanted to achieve, and in fact you've surpassed your own expectations of what you could achieve very quickly, and something happens, like, you know, in my case, I got injured, and it was something like I had goals that I wanted to achieve this year, physical goals that I'd written down, and it's probably the first year in my life where I've completely missed these goals. I've completely missed them, and it's been, you know, very challenging at times, and to also just accept the fact that things are actually rocky. We always hear about it, but when it actually happens to you, you start to understand that, you know, things get really rocky sometimes. And so, you know, what do we do in that situation, I guess, is what I'm learning right now. And as we were saying before, attitude is, from what I'm learning, attitude is absolutely everything. And it's honestly something that you just have to force sometimes.
Right.
You know, sometimes you might, especially with what we do. I mean, Oyvind, you understand, we're running a business, and there are times when business is not going well for everyone, for sure. And what do you do in that situation? You know, and you have to get a hold of yourself, and you have to be like, you know, well, things aren't going well. I'm going to control what I can control, which is my attitude towards life. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to attack new things, and I'm not going to give up. And especially because when I was sort of 20, 21 years old, I used to always say very greatly and proudly, you know, never give up, always keep working hard, be stoic, be this, be that. And it's very interesting because I was saying that off the back of nothing, basically.
Yeah.
You know, like not having been true. Exactly. And you know, I think that's why, obviously, naturally, there's no better way to become a wise person or knowledgeable person than to simply live to an older age, because life teaches better than absolutely anything else.
Yeah.
No book, no podcast, just living life.
Yeah.
And everyone lives this unique aspect. Everyone lives this unique life, but we all seem to relate to similar sort of foundations. If we narrow it down to fitness, so the same thing will happen. Even if you get into the best shape of your life within 12 months, and a lot of the guys that work with us do, well, you might lose it. You might lose it. When I wrote down and said I actually recorded a video, start of January, explaining what I wanted to achieve this year, and actually on one of these calls, we had a group call 1st of January, and we were talking about our goals, and I was explaining one of my main goals is to have 100 transformations from what we're doing, from our coach, 100 amazing transformations, and that's just happened. That's not happened, and it's just fundamentally it's not happened. And a couple other things as well, which I wrote down, and a lot of physical goals which I wanted to achieve, and I just haven't. And it's this idea of, sometimes you genuinely do work really hard. Sometimes you genuinely do put in the hour. I consider myself a hard worker. There are times when I've slacked, of course, everyone does, but on the most part, I'm very consistent with what I do, and I'm driven. And fundamentally, I just have not reached where I thought I would be at this point this year. But then things happen, right? You get injured, and one of my goals, for example, was to get a new personal best on weighted dips, which is one of my favorite exercises in the world, right? I love weighted dips, and I was very passionate about it. And then from the injury that I got at the start of February, I haven't been able to do one dip since. I just haven't. It's the one exercise that I just aggravates my shoulder every single time. And so, and from that, my physique has taken a hit as well. And it's, man, it's the first time in my life where I've really experienced you're pushing, but you go a bit backwards. I think the learning lesson is there actually a backwards? I wouldn't say so. It's more so just a change of direction. It's a change of corner. Yeah. Something goes wrong. If you fail, it's not you dropping, it's you turning a new corner. That's it. When we're just constantly turning different corners in life until we reach our destination.
Yeah.
And I think that is the best way to really view it. Not just in life, but also in training. In training, and I've kind of adopted that mindset of, okay, I've been injured, so I haven't been able to train calisthenics how I wanted to train. I haven't been able to train jiu-jitsu how I want to train. But I've done some other random training which I never thought I would do. I've done some climbing, I've done some running, done some swimming.
Yeah. Cool.
And I've actually found a lot of enjoyment in doing that. And it is a time when I haven't had a competition to really focus on. But that's okay, you don't always need to have an extreme to focus on. Sometimes it's just about navigation through periods of life. It all comes down to attitude. I think it all comes down to attitude at the end of the day. And it's just about understanding, even, the things with social media as well, is that it looks like everyone's succeeding, right? It looks like everyone's succeeding. It looks like everyone's goals are being achieved. And they're not. They're really, really not. And it's quite cliche. We say this all the time. You see the best parts of people's lives on social media. We say it all the time, but I don't think we truly understand the power of that. If we're constantly, every single day, just viewing the absolute best highlight of someone's life, and not someone's life, of 100 people's lives within the first hour of waking in our day, we're now comparing our whole life to those 100 perfect 1% moments in people's lives. And nothing will happen, right? In nothing in the sense that we are responsible for not letting that get to us, because social media is not going anywhere. There's profits to be made at the expense of people's jealousy and people's strong emotions. So those profits will be made. That's the way humanity is, right? So it's really a case where we need to, as human beings, as individuals, take responsibility for ourselves and be say, okay, maybe spending too much time on social media is not just not good, but it's actually ruining my own life at times.
Right.
It's ruining my perception of how I should be progressing in my own training, right? Because we all have different genetics, we all have different lives. You know, you might not make as good progress in fitness as I will, because fitness is basically my career, right? So I'm going to spend naturally a lot more time in it. Linked to that, nothing in this world is truly free. Nothing in this world is truly free, right? Social media is free because you pay with your free time. You pay with your emotion. You pay with your attention. You're always paying. There's always two sides to a coin. That's just the law of the universe. There's always an equal and opposite force to everything. Taking responsibility for controlling what we input into our brain, what we expose our eyes to, because we're the only person. You are the only person that can do that.
But what's your goal for the week? Is that a good question to ask at a Sunday evening?
I heard in a Chris Williamson podcast, and I completely agree with it. And it's the idea that instead of setting, you know, he was asked, where do you think you'll be in 5-10 years? And he said, I don't know, but I know I'll be in a good place because I'm doing good things every day. And that's all that matters.
Wow.
You know, as long as we're chipping away slowly and we're doing good things every single day, we're making the right small decisions every single day, then we know in 5 years we're going to be in a good place, you know? And then you let the universe do its thing. So yeah, you know, it's not sunshine and rainbows. All the stuff I post, and I've been posting for a long time, has all been positive this, positive that, success this, success that. But in actual fact, it's been quite bumpy at times. But yeah, if you are looking to get into very good shape, transform your body, you don't want to wait until 2026, and maybe you're looking for some guidance with that, some accountability, someone to kind of lead you on the way, I would be more than happy to do so. That is what I do. So please do not hesitate to book in a call with myself with the first link in the description. Thank you for watching. Love and peace. Respect yourself.